welcome everyone to the first of a number of webinars we're running this year. This one is on a topic particularly dear to the hearts of the national mentorship movement, and that is how we can mobilize so many of these incredible South Africans we have in this country to make a difference in other people's lives. And what we'd like to go through quickly is, let me share the screen, some introductions. I'll give you a little brief background to NMM and then move quickly onto the topic at hand, which is about harnessing the power of staff volunteerism through mentorship. We then have a panel conversation between Nkateko, Grant, Zota, and myself, and then we'll have the opportunity to interact with you. So before we go there, let me introduce myself. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of the National Mentorship Movement. My entire career was devoted to consulting at Deloitte Consulting. And towards the end of my career, became much more involved in social activities, notably the National Mentorship Movement. So for the last 10 years, I've been the volunteer CEO of this organization. And as you'll hear a bit later, I'm very proud of that. I am a very committed South African. I have 4 children, 3 of whom still here, 1 in Dubai, but visiting me at the moment, our 3 grandchildren. I live in Cape Town. And I have enormous faith in the people of this country, enormous hope in terms of where we're going, and enormous belief in getting people together and helping them grow together through mentorship. So I hand over to Nkateko.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm also quite proud to be part of the National Mentorship Movement for the last almost 10 years that it's been in existence. So this year we are so excited to be celebrating 10 years of existence, and we're looking to grow stronger and stronger from here on. So our topic is extremely exciting to me, something very close to my heart as well. So thank you for, making yourselves available for this session today. So welcome to our 2 panelists, as well as Dave. Just want to, just kick off the discussion around the very concept of staff mentorship and volunteerism. And it would be very good just to get a view from our panelists in terms of how do they feel about staff volunteerism and mentorship in their organizations. What is the background that they can give us in terms of their own organizations? So that would be the very first part of this discussion. So I think, Dave, looking at what we've got up on the screen, the introductions are really to say that we've got a specialist or an executive from both Nedbank as well as Discovery. So quite excited to have both of them on. Are you going to carry on to do the background to NMM, or are we done? Are we moving on to the panel discussion already?
I think it'd be interesting just to bring Grant and Zota into the room, and yourself, Nkateko, in terms of your role. You chair our board.
Okay,
The rest of your background, let's hear a bit more about you.
Okay, no, I will do that. Thanks, Dave, because I'm just looking at this content saying that it's the introduction. Okay, so it's the introduction to all of us. So my name is Nkateko Khoza. I'm the chairperson, I'm the CEO of Zana Investment and chairperson of the National Mentorship Movement, the NPC. I've been running a family office since 2014 together with my father. So in our family office, we are involved in businesses that have to do with hospitality. We've got interest in agriculture as well as interest in private equity. So quite a diverse portfolio and some interest in renewable energy. So quite passionate about growing business and creating jobs in the country. So In season, I would say we employ just under 500 people in total within the family office. So quite proud of that stat. And it's something that we're quite passionate with. And we do have volunteerism within our spaces as well. So that is the introduction to myself. So I'll hand over to yourself, Zota, just to introduce yourself from a discovery point of view. You on mute.
Classic mistake every time. Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Nkateko. My name is Zota Zungu. I manage the employee volunteer program at Discovery. I've been at Discovery for about 4 years, but it feels like 99.9 years, with a lot of exciting things going on there. I've done the rounds in terms of development studies or development as a whole. So I've worked in many different spaces within the development space, probably 10 years plus in total. I'm a Durbanite. I have sisters and brothers. I'm the last born who does not behave like a last born. And that's why I'm in this space. Care a lot about people, care a lot about people development. And I care a lot, obviously, about my country. I wouldn't be where I am doing what I do if I didn't.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Zota. Grant, someone that we've worked with for quite some time in the national mentorship movement, someone that we really quite close to and very excited to have on the panel as well. I will hand over to you just for a short introduction as well, please, Grant.
Thanks, Nkateko. So I'm Grant Kelly. I'm also a last born, but I suspect probably of a different generation to Zota. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I certainly think I'm quite a lot older than Zota. But I work at Nedbank. I currently sit in the office of the Chief Operating Officer. I've been there for many years, both in the office of the COO and at Nedbank. I've just finished 21 years at Nedbank. So back from the days when Dr. Causa was our chair, and now he's at Discovery. So obviously he's doing something about staff volunteerism and mentoring, right, in terms of his leadership. And one of the other things that I do in terms of my role at Nedbank is I sit on various of Nedbank's CSI trusts. Not a huge supporter of philanthropy and the concept of through the benevolence of the deserving, we give to the less deserving. I'm not sure that is a healthy paradigm and or a factual or true one, particularly in the South African context. But I do sit on a number of our trusts. And staff volunteerism falls within that work, and it's something that I am really passionate about and care for deeply. I'm really looking forward to the conversation today. So thanks for the invitation, Dave and Nkateko.
Thank you very much, Grant. Very much appreciated. So we'll just go into a short background for those that are not aware of what the National Mentorship Movement is all about. I think the best person to really give us a very good rundown of where we come from and why we're here and our reason for being would be yourself, Dave. So I will hand over to you, Dave, to just walk us through the background to NMM.
Thanks, Nkateko. I'll do this very quickly. I'm really interested in the conversation, but just for those who don't know us, we are an NPC, we are a Section 18A PBO, and as Nkateko says, we're in our 10th year. We're very proud of that. Our vision is to unleash the power of volunteer mentorship across South Africa. We call it the power of two, the reason for which will be clearer a little bit later. But the power of two people, but equally the ability of mentorship to double outcomes. X to the power of two is what that means for us. Our mission is around empowering entrepreneurs, young people, and others to make a success of their lives, and in the process, creating employment and economic growth, building social cohesion and social capital. That might sound quite grandiose. When I talk about some of what we're doing at the moment, I think we're pretty close to achieving that. We've been operating 10 years, as I mentioned. We have a very well-proven business model and approach. We're not, as Grant says, in the philanthropy business. Some ways I wish we were. We earn all our income based on the work we do for our clients. It would be a lot easier, in fact, if Grant were more benevolent as a philanthropist. We have run over 40 successful programs for a large variety of organizations. We have over 1,800 volunteer mentors currently registered on our platform. We've impacted, I think, after the last couple of weekends, probably over close to 9,000 people now, 8,000. And that means our mentors, our mentees, the people who attend our events, and so on. And so we're proud of the impact we've made. Just some of the organizations we've done those 40 programs with and for. You can see the logos. I'm going up to Victoria tomorrow to participate with the CSIR on a incubator program that they're running. Done work with Deloitte, do a lot of work with Mancosa, Mutual, TIA. We run the IDC's internal mentorship program. So a wide variety of programs, but the ones I've circled here, Discovery, Nedbank, Pernod Ricard, and Sanlam, as I'll explain in a minute, those are the ones where we really began to develop the concept of a staff volunteer mentorship program, which is the subject of today's talk. The board, as you can see, we've got a diverse and active board, and increasingly active in terms of where we're going. So that's a little bit about who we are, and so that's it for that. Let's talk a little bit about our experience of the staff volunteer mentorship programs, which is, I say, came about through the work we've done with 4 of our clients. And the first thing I think I wanted to answer was why mentorship and why staff volunteerism. And if you look at the statistics globally, participation, particularly interestingly post-COVID, has been rising around the world. So average volunteering participation rates up 30% since 2019. Approved volunteer hours have grown 175%. Number of unique volunteers has more than tripled. So it's an area where people are becoming increasingly involved in things that make a difference outside their organizations. And of course, with the large numbers of people joining, although the number of hours have grown by 175%, and I know Grant is a very numerate quality, he's probably doing the calculations already. The reason the hours have dropped is, although the hours have soared, the number of volunteers has soared even further. So staff volunteerism is something which is clearly a really important component of many organizations. And we began to realize that the overlap between staff volunteerism and mentorship is pretty tight. I mean, the impact of mentorship, the research is pretty clear, and we're finding that in South Africa as well. This is where, as I say, the twice as likely comes through quite often, hence the X to the power of 2. Those with mentors, twice as likely as those without, to aspire to go to and graduate from university and assume leadership roles in society. That's huge. Businesses whose leaders have mentors, twice as likely to grow and employ more people and to survive longer than 5 years. And interestingly, those who mentor are 6 times more likely to be promoted than those who don't. And interestingly enough, the statistic for mentees is they are 5 times more likely to be promoted. But in the context of staff volunteer mentorship, people who are working for an organization and operate as mentors have an increased promotability within the organization. So you bring together the increased numbers and increased impact and the impact that mentorship can have, you have quite a compelling case why staff volunteer mentorship should be part of any staff volunteer program. It will increase the average numbers of hours. as we'll see later, and we see some of our learnings, the people who volunteer for these programs are often those who haven't volunteered for others. Notably, even this weekend, we might talk about that when we have the Discovery group volunteering, people who typically haven't volunteered in the past. So it is an ability, as I'll say later in the learnings, it is an opportunity to include people who typically wouldn't otherwise have volunteered, and to increase the impact on those people, as well as the people whom they mentor. So the programs we've been involved in, where we'd like to think perfected, in as much as you ever can perfect anything in a field like this, or at least we've I think got a lot of experience we can discuss later. To begin with, the first program we ever ran was with Sanlam Investment Group. And that was, to me, a really interesting program for those corporates on the call. Because we ran the internal mentorship program, as we have for Supersport, as we have for the IDC and others. But the catch for that program was the mentees, those people who were getting mentored within the organization. In order to get on the program, they had to volunteer as mentors to grassroots entrepreneurs outside. And that was an incredibly impactful program. When we had our closeout session, most of the mentees spoke about the work they'd done as mentors, not so much what they had received internally, but the impact on their lives of having been mentors, the insight it gave them of what really happens in South Africa, etc., through that experience. That led us on to a program we ran for the last 4 years with Pernod Ricard, where we took Pernod Ricard executives. As some of you would know, if you're in Joburg, Pernod Ricard is based in Woodmead. And so we created a mentorship program where their executives and staff volunteered to mentor entrepreneurs in Alex, through an organization, through Alex Viz. And that was an incredibly powerful program. Again, these were people, many of them expats, France, Ukrainians, who came in for a period of service in South Africa, really didn't understand the country, had never been to Alex, never been in a township, were suddenly very freely finding they were very comfortable in Alex. They had mates there, they had people who could guide them around. And that was a very powerful program for them. We then did a program with Nedbank, where we mobilized their staff to support the NGOs that Nedbank support, and the NGOs beneficiaries and the interns. And the message from that is that so many corporates put a lot of money into the NGO partners, which is obviously very praiseworthy. But even more powerful is to take your staff and give them the opportunity to continue the giving of the organization in a very real way. In other words, the staff follows the money, helps make sure the money is well spent. And the final program that we are actually in the process of launching with Discovery is one which will mobilize significant numbers of Discovery staff to support young people, learners and students through different organizations and entrepreneurs, including those entrepreneurs in Alex, and another one run by a program through the Northwest University. And in that process, I think we've learned a lot of things. I'll share quickly some of what we found as, first of all, where we would like to see this world going. And this is not necessarily going with the national mentorship movement, but we would love to see every corporate, as part of its staff volunteer program, provide its staff with a professionally run staff volunteer mentorship program, through which they have the opportunity to volunteer as mentors, an opportunity to select where they would like to mentor, and the tools to be successful mentors. We have such incredible people in this country, both from a generosity point of view, courage point of view, and from a knowledge point of view, that to mobilize a significant number of corporate staff and connecting them on a reasonably organized basis to organizations that they support, bursary students they may be supporting, NGOs they could be supporting, etc., on a reasonably on a formal basis, providing with the relevant workbooks and training, etc., to be effective mentors, the tools to be successful mentors. I think that could make a systemic difference to this country. So that's part of our vision. That's one of the reasons for the call, that an appeal really. It's not about NMM coming and running a program for you, but about the concept of a staff volunteer mentorship program, which has those elements. And I'll share with you in a minute just the typical way we found is worth going about it, and then some of the lessons we've learned in doing so. So the first thing I'd like to say is that in our experience, you have to start with something relatively small. Here we call it phase one. It's a concept or an initial prototype. We have one or two programs. In the case of Discovery, we're aiming at 5, where people have the opportunity to run through a particular phase. Let's say it's a 3 months, or 2 months, or 5 months, depending on what it might be, with a particular set of mentees, be it students, be it entrepreneurs, etc., and get a sense of how the organization responds. Make sure that you bed down the processes, make sure that you can run it professionally. Like so many things in life, if you mess it up the first time around, it's a problem. You want to get it as right as possible and ensure that when you begin to institutionalize the concept, increase the number of opportunities people can volunteer for. Make sure it's not only a once-off, but once a quarter, for example, you can run a program with a couple of opportunities for people to mentor in. That can be very powerful. And then once it is running well, in our experience in a mentorship program, 2 or 3 years, when you start getting that flywheel moving, people are talking to their mates and saying, hey, that was an amazing experience. You really should join this program. And to have a larger number of opportunities. So at the moment with Discovery, we've got, we're calling single shot interventions. We had one this weekend with Prime Stars, with Discovery staff in numbers arrived at a cinema and worked with people on a one-off basis with school children watching a movie, having watched a movie about gender-based violence. We have another one coming later on in the year. And then a number of different opportunities that people can volunteer to participate in of various lengths and intensities. Obviously, people are very busy in corporate. We typically expect 2 to 4 hours a month over a period of time. But first of all, so the first learning for us is phased approach makes sense. The second thing is it needs to be well structured and well thought through. And we're very happy to share any material, any approaches that we have with anybody who's interested. So these are just the typical tasks that we find we need to do in order to run this program. This is a serious program. It needs management. It also needs reporting. So overall, we need to make sure that we are reporting back on how it's performing. There's a lot of preparation in a program like this. We need to make sure the conceptual design is sound. You get the branding and the messaging correct. Branding and messaging is so important in this. It must feel like it's an integral part of what the organization is wanting to achieve. Very importantly, probably the most important thing about this is to begin to open the channel to identify partners through whom you can access mentees. So sometimes it's an internal channel, like let's say with Yes Interns. If you're taking a lot of Yes Interns into the organization, you want to make sure that they have the appropriate support in the organization. That might be a channel. In the case of the work we're doing in Alex, we have a channel partner called Alex Biz. Through them, we can access mentors, mentees, entrepreneurs. Study Trust, for example, Phoenix, we work with in order to get access to students, etc. So that's a really important part of the process. Then you need the relevant support materials. Mentors are confidence animals. They need to feel that they are supported. They need to know what they're doing. We've developed over the years some really powerful workbooks to support students through their journey so they get to a sense of who they are, where they're going, and help them get the growth mindset to achieve what they're looking for. Similarly, we've developed over the years programs for both startups as well as for existing businesses to help them redefine what they exist for, relook at their business model canvas, look at their SWOT analysis, define their priorities for the years ahead, etc., and have a detailed plan. So those are the types of things which one can pull into the process. In our case, we have a platform where mentors and mentees can register. We can provide them with onboarding information, and we match them. We use the platform for sending out surveys and keeping records of the relationships and ensuring that they continue. So there's quite a lot of work to do up front. And if you don't do that work up front, you will spend years trying to catch up. And so make sure you're well prepared. The rollout itself, this is where you mobilize, onboard, and train the mentees. So you've got to make sure the mentees are there before you mobilize the mentors. In our experience, you can create a lot of excitement amongst staff. We're finding a lot of people are really happy to do this. But unfortunately, if you create that excitement and you can't deliver, which is why that previous step about the mentee channel partners is vital, then you disappoint people and they're no longer interested in the program. So we start there, as you can see, with the mentees. Then we launch the program in the certainty that there are people that the mentors from the corporation can work with. So we get an appeal, we typically do a number of connect calls to reassure people. You do a teaser campaign, get an expression of interest, engage with those who are interested, persuade them that this makes a lot of sense. And then you onboard and train those mentors. And at that stage, you can then match the mentors and make sure that they agree. And then you launch the program. And we find launching the program, you need to create some sort of identity, some sort of solidarity amongst the teams, amongst the mentors and the mentees. You need to monitor those relationships, make sure you're in touch with what they, whether it's working or not, if they're not meeting, what the issues are. Typically, they will work, but people need a degree of chilling along to make sure that once it's started, the flywheel starts, but to make sure that we get started. And we always find it's really important to have a closeout event. It creates closure for the participants. Many then go and relaunch in a relationship again with a different set of objectives, but it does create at least a sense of closure for the mentors and mentees. Is a great opportunity to get learnings, to make sure that the program remains relevant, and also it's an incredible source of the most heartwarming stories, which can then go into, again, creating that flywheel effect that I want to be part of that. I can share, it wasn't an in-house program, but when we started our Mancosa program 4 or 5 years ago, 100 students a year, we managed to mobilize a grand total of 4 mentors. Now, every half year, when we're looking for probably about 20 mentors, we regularly get 50 to 60, because people are now really beginning to be enthusiastic. People who've been mentees become mentors, but more importantly, people who mentored want to continue doing it. And then we continue to administer surveys and reports. That's a typical process of getting a program like this underway. So the last 2 slides I want to share are, first of all, why? Why would you do this? Well, in our experience, from the organizational point of view, so if you're Nedbank or Discovery, you'll begin to unleash the power of mentorship into the culture of the organization. You know, I was listening to the feedback from the Discovery people who were there on Saturday working with these young school children at the cinema, saying, you know, this is what I want to do on my Saturday mornings. This is an opportunity to learn from my side, to test my own leadership ability and experience the power of mentorship. So you grow staff leadership skills, promotability. As I mentioned, the statistics show that you're way more likely to be promoted if you put yourself in a mentorship position. The power of giving back, the endorphins which flow into the organizations is important. But you're also showing your staff that you're really committed to their personal development. You're committed to your partners and their beneficiaries, so you're not just giving money, but you're actually engaging your staff with them. You're showing your commitment to your staff, that you are committed to people less fortunate than they are, and you're showing your commitment to the country. So there are a lot of really powerful benefits to the organization. The mentees too, I mean, let's not ignore the fact it's not only about the organization, the staff. The mentees grow in confidence, in their own leadership skills, their own new perspectives, clarity on future direction, the mindset to achieve where they're going. Effectively, you're growing. People have the ability to make a success of their own lives, which is powerful. But for your staff in the corporate, the staff gain practical leadership skills and experience. They increase their confidence, increase their sense of meaning and their purpose. They grow new insights, and they enhance their own progression in the organization. I would say I haven't spoken to any of the mentors whom I speak to on a regular basis who don't say that they are getting more out of the program than they think they're giving to their mentees. And that doesn't mean they're not giving a lot to their mentees. It just is a testament to how much people themselves learn by being in this situation. And it doesn't matter how senior or how junior they are. All the people say they are getting an enormous amount out of the program. Finally, some of the words of some of the mentors of the programs from the organizations I've mentioned, and these are mentors. The mentees' challenges became opportunities for my own growth. I've improved my ability to help others to grow. I gain valuable insight. It's a wonderful tool to learn and grow. I do it again and again. Skills to be a more effective mentor, motivated to take on more responsibilities in my organization. And this is an interesting one, because here's a situation of, this is effectively an entrepreneur, and many people in corporate say, well, what can I offer somebody in some township entrepreneur, some street smart entrepreneur? I've got nothing to offer. Here's the words of one of our Pernod Ricard mentees. So joining the National Mentorship Movement through the Pernod Ricard program changed that for me. There he was wondering whether he was good enough. He was getting rejection after rejection. For the first time, someone believed in what we were building. My mentor, Ben, helped me realize that having a great idea is not enough. People need to clearly understand your vision. Taught me to communicate better, slow down, use visuals to make our pictures more powerful. Helped us discover our niche. So there's a corporate guy, the interactor with a township entrepreneur in Alex. And as he says at the top there, turn my hustle into purpose, giving me clarity, confidence, and belief in my vision. So it works. The final thing I just wanted to share was some of the learnings we've come across, or we've got through the process. From a program point of view, as I mentioned, it's vital, if you want to do this, that you've identified the mentees in advance, not to disappoint. You need to associate it with the corporate objective that the organization would relate to. If it's around young people, it's around entrepreneurship, agriculture, early childhood development, whatever it might be, The program should follow that. It shouldn't feel like it's something different from what the organization is looking to achieve. It's very helpful if you have a corporate champion that people respect. It's well branded. Most importantly, that's professionally run. So it has the supporting workbooks, it has the product launches, training materials, making sure people are looked after, feel secure and supported. And just a couple of people learnings. What we have learned is that corporate staff are interested. I think when we first at Nedbank, we asked for people who are interested to come forward. I think we had over 300 people. Petrified to see what we get with Discovery, but we'll find out fairly soon. We also find people who volunteer often have not volunteered before. So that's interesting for me. I think Zotto, we discussed that this morning at Discovery, that the 21 people who volunteered to support the program on Saturday, about the boys program through Prime Stars, most of them are people who had never volunteered before. That was our experience at Nedbank as well. It was, wow, these are people who didn't know before. Be prepared that more women than men tend to volunteer. I think that's not an unusual in the volunteering space. That said, we had 21 people from Discovery at the cinema on Saturday. Just as a shout out guess, how many do you think of those were women? Nkateko, yeah, so you gave it a shot.
5? No?
There was 0 women. It was 100% men. And that is amazing. So 100% men who typically would not have come forward otherwise because there was something different about what was on offer. The majority do want to work with young people, be it young entrepreneurs or students. As I mentioned before, a lot of corporate people feel, I don't know, I'm not sure I'm qualified to work with an entrepreneur or really senior people, a high-tech entrepreneur. Not true. We found that works. Remember, mentors are not there to tell people what to do. They're there as a sounding board to help people find what is there within them. So we provide a very effective process that people can be good mentors. But that process involves a lot of listening, a lot of question raising. And I was talking to a young mentee last night. He was saying, what my mentor does so well, he asks me the questions I hadn't thought of asking. And in answering those questions, that's where I begin to discover where I need to go. Not in his answering the questions, or not in his telling me what to do. It's in raising the questions that I need to answer with his support, with his experience, but not to answer for me. So they appreciate the training. We found corporate people pitch up en masse at training. And I think there is that insecurity. Can I do this? Can I not do it? Grasp the training. Wonderful training session last week, again with the Discovery guys. Once they saw that there was support, it was, we can do this. When they arrived, it was not so sure. I'll sit and observe, see how it unfolds. On the day, actually finding they could. They also appreciate the corporate guys. So we start them with a process, start them with a workbook so that they know where they're going. But stress that it's got to go where it has to go. Things don't, you can't push people through a process. Each individual relationship and the two participants in those relationships are individuals. It has to go where it has to go. And so I think that's part of what we do. We provide the training and the workbooks to give confidence. But once the confidence is there, the relationship can go where they need to go. And interestingly enough, it takes a lot of time. And how can we get this done in a couple of weeks or a couple of months? A lot of the feedback is don't rush it. Let's develop the relationship, develop the understanding. doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it's enough time to get to build the trust and the vulnerability which mentorship requires in order to be really effective. So in a nutshell, that's where we are. We'd love to see way more corporates doing this, either with us or on their own. But that's the sort of vision that we have, and that's the experience we have, the benefits we've seen, and the learnings that we have gathered. And with that said, Nkateko, back to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for those insights and also for referring back to the very recent experience over the weekend. I think that really shed some good light. And I think just to kick us off, Grant, can you give us a bit of an understanding as well as a little bit of experience of staff volunteerism within Nedbank? If you could just walk us through that.
Sure. Thanks, Nkateko. So my wife generally helps me prepare for these things, and her brief is pretty straightforward. Grant, you're boring, keep it short. And I got a similar brief from both you and Dave at the start of this. So I will indeed honor the briefing and keep it as short and as least boring as possible. I just want to say three things. So the first thing is there's a beautiful Samoan proverb. The pathway to leadership is through service. Second thing, Nkateko, your dad was recently honored with a Lifetime Leadership Achievement Award, and his speech was profound. But he was speaking about leadership in Africa, and he said, let us not romanticize our predicament. We are a continent rich in potential, yet impoverished in leadership. The paucity of great leadership, visionary, ethical, and courageous, is our Achilles heel. And then the final sentence of that particular part of his speech, I've obviously memorized this because it's quite pertinent. It's particularly powerful. He says, we have too many who occupy positions of power. We have too few who embody a spirit of service. So that's point 2. So I think fundamentally the whole thing for me is leadership is service. And in the context of Nedbank and staff volunteerism is a really important part of the work that we're doing. Our CSI funds, our CSI entities, we've got what we call the Circular Green Economy Strategy. And fundamentally, the goal of that is a social justice strategy. It's to address redress the issues of structural exclusion in our society that was baked in, and we don't have to talk about the history of that. But the critical component of that is getting our staff to understand the importance and power of service. And secondly, understand how we as an organization remain relevant to society by understanding what's going on in society. And so I think the joy or the benefit of mentoring, as Dave articulated in the introduction, is fundamentally a two-way street. And so one of the core benefits that we believe is understanding and ensuring that our staff and our business remain socially relevant. And staff volunteerism and mentorship is one of the key levers that we're pulling in terms of that. I'll leave it there. Hopefully that was as short and brief as needed.
Thank you. No, that was short, brief, and passionate. So that's quite exciting for us. So I just want to alert our participants that they can put in a question or a comment in the chat box. But at the end, we'll then get quite interactive and have the open conversation. So if you feel you might forget something, you're welcome to just put something in the chat, but we will have an open conversation. So Zota, from your side, from a discovery point of view, What has been your experience of staff volunteerism within Discovery, and generally your understanding of the benefits or what staff volunteerism is all about, in your view? Oh, my dear, you need to unmute. Fantastic.
Thanks, Katego. I think from a Discovery perspective, we always say volunteerism is the heart of the business. CSI broadly, but volunteerism specifically, because that's where our people, serve and kind of share their expertise and their skills outside of the work that they get paid for. From our experience, volunteerism has given our employees that added boost actually to even do their work. We've run surveys to kind of find out, what is it that you want to do? Why would you want to volunteer in the first place? Why would you raise your hand up in the first place? And 9 out of 10 times, it's because people want to serve. And 9 out of 10 times it's because they want to share their skills and also professionally or personally develop. So there's a personal development element that they are aware of in terms of volunteering. So in our experience, it really is the heart of the business, and of the people rather, specifically the people. And when we design initiatives and programs, at the core of it, yes, it's the beneficiaries that we think about, the social impacts that we're trying to achieve, but it's also about the people that are going to go out there and serve on behalf of the company as well. And so with Dave and the National Mentorship Movement, we are currently curating and designing a mentorship program, an online mentorship program, which would have been not the first, but the way we've designed it, I would say the first of its kind in the business. And the uptake seems to be growing as we advertise it and as we share it. And mentorship specifically has been an interest across the board. Also because most employees don't really have time to get off their desks and go out. As much as we give them enough time we have a blank check at Discovery where we don't limit volunteer days. But because of priorities, it has become increasingly difficult for our staff to actually go out and volunteer. And so mentorship has become one of the things that our volunteers have shared they want, to engage in terms of giving their time. And so this opportunity and this partnership with National Mentorship Movement is allowing us to increase our volunteer numbers, of course, but to also offer our employees what they're looking for in terms of service and professional or personal development.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you. Dave shared a very interesting stat that 30% globally, there's a 30% stat of global participation by staff in volunteerism. Grant, would you say at Nedbank, you're sitting at 30%? Is it less? Is it more? Do you want it to be more? And, what is your feeling?
So at the moment, it's below 30. Our target actually with our new social impact unit is to get it above 50. And but it's more than just an absolute number, percentage participation. It's the impact and the relevance of the volunteerism that is taking place. And so we are in the process of looking at how do we make mentorship in a leadership is service cultural agenda a core part of the organization's development and career progression pathway. We think it would be a very, very positive thing to do. And so we're in the process of looking at how we institutionalize that mindset, that culture, and those programs that support that agenda internally.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Grant. Zota, on your side, are you also sitting around that 30% level, or is this just in its infancy and it's growing? What would be the blue sky look of staff volunteerism for you as you launch this program?
So in the last 2, 3 years, we've seen an uptake, and I think this was post-COVID. COVID did a number on volunteerism and our staff going out. And so there was a dip, obviously, during COVID because people were not able to go out, and we had not yet curated or created a flexible model in terms of a program for volunteering. And so 3 years ago, obviously post-COVID, it has increased, but we have not reached that 30%. We are quite close, but not yet. We haven't reached that 30%. And looking at how we are now looking at volunteerism, at mentorship as an opportunity, and broadening that mentorship opportunity for our volunteers, we are definitely going to be able to reach that in the next probably year or two.
Right. No, we hope that you reach that and beyond. So Grant, from your point of view on the mentorship in particular, with the staff volunteerism, what are your views? Is this something that will work in all corporates, or it has to be certain type of corporates? Is this something that's a useful tool, especially based on your experience and what you've shared with us just now? Do you feel that the programs, the mentorship programs themselves, are going to be impactful and something that could work in the corporates?
The short answer to that is categorically yes.
Mhm.
A slightly longer answer, if I may, is my view is Springbok Rugby is a role model for systemic transformation in our society. And when I listen to Rassie Erasmus talk about the journey of what he's done with Springbok Rugby and him and Siya Kolisi, and one of the things that really landed with me strongly was Rassie's appreciation for the incredible talent that remained in South African society that was untapped and underutilized. And he then committed to address this through specific interventions of player mentoring and skills development coaching that was targeted at people that had been identified with the talent to reach the top level, but hadn't had the experience and the opportunities. And that became systemically integrated in South African rugby, and beneficiaries of that were Makazola Mapimpi and Okanyo who became World Cup winning champions, and I think indicate to the world what South Africa is capable of. And so they're my benchmark and target of successful systemic transformation. Within the context of the work that we're doing, there is research and support from multiple stakeholders in the corporate social responsibility, corporate social investment, or what we call social justice transformation work, is that the importance of people having mentorship and having ongoing support, entrepreneurs having ongoing support, not just financial capital, but ecosystems of support, including people and access to mentors, is one of the critical factors of long-term success of businesses and is a key defining factor of long-term success. And so we're currently in the process of taking all of that research from various stakeholders. There's a beautiful article about the SAB Foundation and the amazing work that they're doing in rural and peri-urban communities. And they highlighted this through their research, and it's supported by the work research done by Wakamoso, etc. And one of the things that we're doing internally within our side is saying, how do we ensure that we adequately invest in the mentorship and the systemic support of the entrepreneurs and growing their businesses? And so going back to the short answer, categorically, this is a critical component of systemic transformation and long-term success.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Grant. I would like our panel to see if they can join us in this conversation. We'd like to open it up to be able to, interact with, Dave is there as our expert from the mentorship movement, And of course, Grant has been sharing, so has Zota. So Zota, you've just started this journey with us. What would you like to see as the benefits of the volunteer mentorship program?
I think already we've seen benefits. We've barely launched it. We're actually launching in July. And ideally, it's getting our volunteers or employees that have never volunteered to volunteer. And this past weekend, we actually had that. We're hoping to grow our volunteer community. We're hoping that the programs and initiatives that we run are designed in a way that creates value on both ends. And so, the impact for both the employee, the impacts for also the beneficiaries, but that whole shared value concept in terms of the volunteer program, specifically the mentorship program. We're hoping to grow it as the years go by. We're hoping for it to be a 5-year program. So we're quite intentional about mentorship specifically as a way of our business, of our people impacting society positively.
Wonderful. I'm hoping that our panel, our audience will come up with a few questions or comments. Do we have any from our audience that's joining us on the line? We just want to be as interactive as possible. Do we have any? I don't pick up anything in the conversation. So opening it up to the audience, please join us in this discussion and in this wonderful topic. I mean, Dave shared some amazing benefits of mentorship generally to the employee in terms of their personal growth. Are there any sharings that may be coming from the floor regarding that or anything that the team wishes to share? We do have a few more minutes in our discussion, and it would be lovely to hear from our audience that's been participating from the very beginning. Yes, excitement. I see we have
And say,
something.
if no one else comments, I'm going to have to speak again, and I'm sure no one on the call wants that.
Okay. So the question from Vinolia, I think this one would be for you, Dave. It says, "Greetings, leaders. How to join the movement?"
Manolia, I think it depends on what role you're looking to play. There is an absolutely infinite need for mentors in this country. We certainly have many people who could benefit from mentorship. So certainly if you want to volunteer as a mentor, please do. If you are in the space of CSI in an organization, you could canvas the desire in your organization to implement a program like this, either with us or on your own. We'll give you whatever support you need to do it by yourselves. There's that way. I think most importantly, maybe, is just to embrace yourself as somebody who's there to give and make a difference. And we can help you do that by connecting you to somebody who could benefit from your input.
Okay, Vinod, I hope that was useful. We do also have a website, the National Mentorship website, and we also have a presence on Instagram. I see that we are out of time, just a minute out of time, but I think the discussion has been very, very, very robust and very beneficial to all those that are listening. I think for me, the greatest takeaway is what Grant shared with us and what also my father shares almost daily with me. It's around leadership through service. So our staff volunteerism programs, as well as the mentorship programs that we run, speaks to that. So us as leaders that are on this platform, we are called to service and using our talents to benefit others. I see we've got two comments. Okay, I think Zamo just shared the Mentorship Movement website, which is mentorshipmovement.co.za. And please do join us also on Instagram. We share, the experiences of our mentors and mentees, and as well as the experience of our corporates. So there's a lot that you can find both on the website and on Instagram. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our discussion. I just want to just say to our panelists to just maybe, if they would like to say one or two things to encourage others that are looking to embark on this journey, what would you like to say, Grant, in 2 sentences?
I'll be shorter than that, Kateko. Thank you. I just want to say, firstly, thank you for the opportunity for being here. And I would encourage people to get involved in mentoring. It is profoundly rewarding and massively impactful. So please, please give it a go. I really couldn't recommend it highly enough.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. Zota, from your side in closing, any closing comments or last words on our topic and our discussion point for today?
I firstly thank you for inviting me again, Dave. We'll have a chat later about this amazing session. But thank you so much for the opportunity. And then in terms of mentoring, I think we all personally have an opportunity to mentor someone, and even if it's not in a corporate context. We should really take those opportunities up. And if we're not sure or we need support, Dave, the team, any of us are there to guide and support. It doesn't have to be in a formalized space if you're not in a formalized space. But I think to just create a better South Africa, mentorship really, really, really does make a difference. And if you are in a position to share yourself, your expertise, your skills, your knowledge, do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that, and thank you for the emojis there. We do have also in the chat, there is a place where you can actually register as a mentor or mentee beyond being in a program. We've got nmmcronus.com. You'll see that in the chat, so please pick that up and please go ahead and register as a mentor or mentee. You're most welcome. And I think Petronella is very much looking forward to seeing you, Dave, at the Momentum Group NPO Business Challenge final event. So that's quite exciting. So yeah, I think with that, Dave, I'll just let you would you like to say
one of the
something?
finalists in this program.
Oh, okay.
Very excited, and it in a way is Momentum's group's staff volunteer mentorship program. They have mobilized their staff to support, in this case, ourselves, develop, deal with a particular program or challenge that we are facing. And I think that's a great opportunity. Petronella, just from what you've heard, any sense that whether what we're talking about might be of value to Momentum?
Petronella, over to you, ma'am.
Like me and my team to discuss and see how we can get involved.
We would value that. I'd also like to emphasize this doesn't necessarily have to be a large corporate. So if there are, and I know there are some smaller organizations here as well. And I think, for example, a smaller organization that even Pernod Ricard is not a big organization, but they got enormous value for their own organization by taking some of their executives, connecting them to the lived reality that they otherwise wouldn't experience, giving them a better understanding of the challenges and the opportunities facing this country. So whether you're a large organization or a small organization, by taking a couple of hours a month, taking it outside your organization, connecting your people into what's really going on in this country outside the corporate sector, they can only enrich your organization, those individuals, and the people whom they support. So if you want to know it more, please, you know how to get hold of us, and we would really love to work with you.
Thank you, Dave. I think for me, just to end off our discussion, there's just this painful stat that you hear quite often around unemployment in our country. You know, we've got 32.7% unemployment overall, and most painfully, with the youth, it's actually 45.8%. So I would like to make a call to action to all corporates to see what is it that we can do as corporates to embark on programs that speak to staff volunteerism and speak to mentorship of others in our country that we can uplift in order to fight the scourge of unemployment. So with that, I urge you all to think very hard about leadership through service and look forward to our next webinar. Please look out for the next topic in our webinar. And we look forward to really having you as part of the greater NMM family. So thank you very much to Dave, my colleague, and my ex-colleague from Deloitte of many, many years. So thank you so much, Dave, for that. And Zota, thank you for joining us from Discovery, and Grant, of course, from the Green Bank. We're always, so excited to have you amongst us. And thank you to everyone that participated, especially those that embarked on putting something onto the chat. So we look forward to really having you as part of our family going forward, and also to celebrate the 10 years of the National Mentorship Movement and its strength going forward. So Dave, I believe our session is an hour long. Am I correct? And that we are now at the end. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Nice comment there, Grant, from Tosh.
Okay, I think Tosh says, I'm a small company from East London. I benefited a lot from the Nedbank Mentorship program for tourism, and the business is doing very well, and thanks to them. How's that, Grant? Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Kasani, it was great to see you on Saturday as well. Thanks. Look forward to working with you in September. Right.
Oh, yes, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers.